right, good morning, everyone. As Ken mentioned, my name is Karl Frisk. I work with Peoples Gas. We are the natural gas utility here in Chicago, one of several utilities that's part of WEC Energy Group. So got a lot of stuff to cover today, so bear with me as I move pretty quickly. I just want to talk about the utilities that make up WEC Energy Group, the various renewable energies we have in our portfolio, some of the aggressive corporate goals we've set to reduce carbon, with regards to electric generation, natural gas, and then some new customer appliance technology that we're wanting to educate people on. So, WEC Energy Group. The majority of what we do is we are a gas and electric utility. We are in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and here locally in Illinois. Three of those entities are both gas and electric utilities. Four of us are just gas only, like we are here in Chicago with Peoples Gas. As far as customer base, we have almost 5 million customers combined between electric and gas utilities. So in the Midwest region, we're a very large utility. So with regards to renewable energy, we have some generation that we own internally that are legacy fossil fuels as well as renewables. So within that footprint that we just previously looked at of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Illinois, we have owned 30 hydroelectric plants, 1 biomass, which is also known as renewable natural gas, wind turbine facilities, solar facilities for just over 1,000 megawatts of generation. Outside of that footprint, we have our infrastructure group that operates in South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, and then outside of Chicago and Illinois that has roughly 1,900 megawatts of generation between 8 wind facilities, 1 solar, and then we do have 2 in the works in Illinois and Texas. So I know it's hard to read this slide just because of the size of the presentation, but these goals that we've established for reducing carbon go all the way back to 2017. So this is something we've been working on for quite some time to reduce the carbon intensity of the electricity that we distribute. So right out the gate in 2018 and 2019, we retired 4 of our coal generating plants. As far as generation go, coal is about as dirty as it gets. We've also installed 5 gas plants to replace those coal plants, installed 3 solar plants, and installed a wind plant. And then in some future slides, I'm going to touch on some of the future-facing generation that we're trying to cover. So yeah, one of those goals is we want to be net carbon neutral by 2050 as far as electric generation goes. On our way there, we want to get to 60% reduction by 2025, so that's a very near-term goal that we're almost to, and 80% by 2030. So as of 2023, we're almost to that goal of 60%, so I'd say we're confident that we're going to meet the goals of being net carbon neutral by 2050. Another one we have is with regards to methane emission reduction. So a goal that we've established is by 2030, we want to be net zero with methane emissions. A large portion of that is going to be with the expansion of renewable natural gas, which is a net negative carbon fuel source. So as of 2023, we were 23% below that baseline in 2011. So we still got a ways to go, but we're confident still that we're going to be meeting those goals. So there's a lot of information here, but really just looking at going back to 2015, the gray bars there capture the generation that we performed with coal. So you can see it's gone down over the years. Back in 2015, we were at 54%. Most recently, last year, we were at 29%, so roughly half of the generation that was being done with coal. We've cut that in half so far. The yellow bar, that is natural gas generation, so that has increased, going all the way up to 20 or 33% as of 2023. Nuclear is the purple bar, so that's been pretty standard, roughly 20% since that baseline of 2015. And then the greatest change has come in our renewable space. So back in 2015, roughly 4% of power was generated via renewables, be it wind, hydro, solar, or biomass. And then as of this last year, we were almost at 19%, so a 5 times increase just in the last couple years. To simplify that chart, just to focus on the decarbonizing piece, the blue bar shown here, that is the legacy fossil fuels, so showing a 73% carbon-intensive generation back in 2015, most recently at 62%, and then the green bars, that's the renewables, non-carbon, including nuclear, so downward trends, we're working to decarbonize that energy generation. So looking forward, over the next couple of years going into 2028, we are trying to quadruple our renewable energy generation fleet. That includes 2,700 megawatts of solar generation, 250 megawatts of storage tied with solar, 880 megawatts of wind. So a couple of those projects are starting here as early as 2024. We have projects slated for next year, 25 and 26 to follow, with more to come to meet that overall goal of 2,700. We are also expanding our natural gas generation. So between the next couple of years, we are increasing generation in the natural gas space. As part of that, we're also expanding some liquid natural gas storage. And then another one of those goals to achieve the net carbon neutrality by 2050 is we do want to exit coal generation by 2032. So between this year, we've already retired a substantial generating coal plant, and then over the next few years, going all the way to 2031, by the 2032 exit, we do want to be out of coal altogether as a generating source. So another way that we are decarbonizing electric generation is with hydrogen blending. So that means what historically was 100% natural gas in the pipeline feeding these generating facilities is now partially hydrogen. So back in 2022, we were actually the very first utility to pilot a hydrogen blending program up in our Upper Peninsula, Michigan utility, working with the Electric Power Research Institute. This was the very first time that a actual operating plant tied into the grid operated with blending hydrogen. Historically, it had been done in just research settings. So back in 22, this was the very first time that we actually implemented it in the field. So we mixed up to 25% hydrogen for roughly 2 weeks in various percentages. So we saw that there was no challenges. We stayed within our permit limits for emissions, so we're very happy that that was a successful program. And we were actually awarded a EPRI, so that's the Electric Power Research Institute Award for Technology Transfer in 2023, as well as Power Magazine giving us the Top Hydrogen Plan Award. We're very proud of both of those awards. So now moving into the gas distribution, natural gas distribution space. So we are trying to minimize emissions there. One of those ways is with pipe replacement. So going back to 2011, we've been aggressively replacing our aging infrastructure, be it cast iron, ductile iron, legacy steel. We have roughly 2,000 miles of that still in the ground here in Chicago. As part of this upgrade, we're installing new polyethylene or new steel that's coated, so it's less corrosion prone. As part of that, we're increasing efficiency of our operations, increasing resiliency, reliability, less maintenance overall. Leaks are going down, and then there's a couple of bonus safety features such as better isolation, and then customer-facing with regulation and excess flow valves to keep customers safer than they historically have been. And then just to explain kind of the history of our system, there's an ongoing project here just a mile away in Chicago, down in the Loop. We are actively replacing a gas pipeline that has been in operation since 1861. So going back to the Civil War days when Lincoln was still the president. So it's a very old system. We're working aggressively to replace it and improve reliability in the process. And then as part of this pipe replacement, we were proud to be part of one of the founding members of the EPA Methane Emission Challenge going back to 2017. That program is ending this year, but in order to participate in that program, you have to replace 2% of your leak-prone material system every year. So we've been proud of being able to be a member of that. So with regards to emissions. So at the end of these pipe replacement programs, the majority of those emissions are coming through leaks. So what's shown here is 8 different neighborhoods that we upgraded throughout the city over the last couple years. Of those 8 neighborhoods, there was 73 miles of gas pipeline, and we showed a before and after screenshot of 95% in methane emissions from what was leaking in that leak-prone material to the now current polyethylene and steel main that is not as leak-prone. So moving on, another way we're looking to decarbonize natural gas is with the use of renewable natural gas. So just an education piece for those that aren't aware. To compare the two, traditional pipeline gas, that comes from the reserves underground. It has to be drilled out. It's all over the place. It is very abundant right now. U.S. is the largest producer as far as natural gas goes in the world. It is not a renewable resource, so there's a finite amount that's underground there, and it is compatible with the distribution system that we have in place to, and as well as the customer systems. Renewable natural gas, to compare, is a gas that comes from food waste, animal waste, various organic wastes that, as it decays, natural gas or methane is a emitting gas. It is produced from renewable sources because if it's going to end, it's never going to end, so it is an indefinite supply. Once it does get produced, there is some cleaning that has to happen, so it's not quite to the same quality of what we consider traditional pipeline gas, so there's some efforts to clean it before injecting it into the facilities. And once it is cleaned up, it is compatible with our system as well as customer systems. And then as far as what we're doing locally, back in 2023, we had an agreement with various dairy farmers in Wisconsin to take on up to 1 billion cubic feet annually of renewable natural gas. And then this year, we're actively working to almost double that to get to another 800 million cubic feet taken annually from those dairy farmers. Another thing we're doing is new technology that customers can use. So as a utility, we get gas to the customers. They use it however they see fit with their appliances. So one thing we're trying to increase education on is gas heat pumps. It's a very efficient way to heat space as well as heat and cool water. This technology has been out there for quite some time in Europe and Asia. So it's a proven technology. It's just coming here in a residential setting in North America. That's what we're getting on board. And Peoples Gas, we have the very first gas heat pump in the country that does space heat, heat and cool water. We're installing that this year. So we're working with partners here in the Chicagoland area to increase education about this technology of gas heat pumps. It is ultra high efficiency. It can work at very cold temperatures. It drastically lowers heating bills, and there's fewer emissions associated with it. So we're definitely trying to get the word out about this new technology. Another new technology that's out there is small-scale carbon capture. So some might have heard more on the power plant generating side that there's a way to capture carbon before it goes into the air. Technology has come a long way to the point that it can be installed in industrial settings or multifamily homes tied into your boilers. So what's shown here is one of those units, so relatively small footprint, and it is possible to achieve a net zero emission building with the use of this technology. And then the carbon that actually is captured can be sold off and turned into various products that are based off of that carbon that's being captured. So that's everything I had today. I just want to encourage anyone that is interested. Everything I covered here and more is covered in our corporate responsibility report. The website's listed on there, but there's a lot of information that we're doing throughout the WEC Corporation to try and reduce emissions, plus a lot of other stuff. So I'd encourage anyone that's interested to go onto that website. Thank you for your time.